Hey everybody. So I said in my last video I would do a video about brand alteration, and so today I thought I'd do that. I'm going to start with talking a little bit about the general opinions about brand alteration in the community, and then I'm going to show you guys what brand I've had altered and my experiences with that. So first off, I can't talk for the community as a whole, but the opinions that I've heard in general about alteration is either like really bad or fairly neutral. So the people who think it's a bad thing are typically people who cite resale value as a major problem. So a lot of people do sell and buy dresses quite frequently. And I don't personally, I don't care if you do, obviously, but I can understand that if you do that a lot, then resale value can be a really big issue for you. So yeah, if your wardrobe constantly fluctuates and it's not something you think you'll wear all the time, or if it's not a dream dress, then by all means don't alter something. But resale value is kind of tricky because while having a dress altered will affect the resale value, that doesn't mean that if you eventually want to sell it, it won't sell at all. Chances are another girl will be, your size or close to it and want that dress too. So it's kind of objective, and it can affect the resale value. I'm not saying it can't, but I do think that it's possible to sell a dress after you've altered it. And there are also alterations that can be really easily undone. If you have something taken in and the fabric is still there, or if you have something made bigger and you can just take the panels out and resew it, then obviously you can put the dress back to the way it was. So that shouldn't affect resale value very much at all. And there's also the point of view that's really neutral about it, which I tend to be. You've paid money for these clothes, and if you're going to pay money to alter it, then go right ahead. There's a kind of feeling in the community that brand is like sacred and we shouldn't mess with it sort of thing, and I think that's kind of ridiculous because it's just clothing. If you bought a pair of pants and they were too long for you, you'd have them hemmed, right? So just because the clothing is more rare or more expensive doesn't mean that you shouldn't feel comfortable with having it made differently to fit you. So yeah, I think those are the two most prevalent feelings on brand alteration. But I have had two things altered. I'm a very busty girl, and while my waist fits really well in most Lolita things, I do have to have shearing in most of my dresses to accommodate my bust. And I'm lucky in the fact that most of the dresses that I really want I can find with shearing. But every now and then I search and search and search for a dream dress and I can only find it in the unsheared version. So I have it taken to a tailor's. So the first thing I want to talk about is finding a tailor. You don't just want to take this to anybody because it is expensive and damage done to it is very, very bad. So my best recommendation, and what I did, was I went online and I searched for tailors in my area, and I found one that seemed to have a lot of really thought-provoking or really thoughtful reviews. And then I went in and I had a consultation with her and I talked to her about, what I needed to have done, and got a price estimate and that sort of thing, and then I decided whether or not I wanted to have it altered. Well, this was the first time I did. The second time I was obviously comfortable with her, so I just brought it in and had it done. But yeah, it's really important to make sure that you either get a really good recommendation from a friend or you look up a lot of information about them online before going to a tailor's. Simply because, Lolita is kind of complicated and there's lots of little details and stuff, and you want to make sure that whoever you're going to is really trustworthy to preserve those details and make sure your dress looks good. So basically, I'm going to talk about my first dress. There we go. Okay. So this is my Innocent World emblem print. This dress was from, I think, 2006. And there were two versions of it. This collared version and also a pinafore version that had shirring in the back. But because it is so old and old, I mean, it's old for Lolita, I guess, and hard to find, when I found this version of it, which didn't have shirring, I just went for it. And it was very, very small. It was like maybe 33-inch bust. So, I took it into the tailor's and I had her put panels on the sides. This has a back zipper for reference, which made it a little bit easier because she didn't have to reset the zipper. But I had little panels put on the sides. I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to show these to you successfully enough that you can understand what I'm talking about. So because this fabric was printed, I was really concerned about finding something that would match it really well, because obviously there were no waist ties, and obviously I wasn't going to find something that was, you know, this print exactly, because it was made specifically for Innocent World. So I went to Joann's and I managed to find a fabric that was pretty much the exact color and a very, very similar grain, which was perfect. Like, you might not be able to even notice it. When I'm wearing it, it's really not noticeable at all, especially because my tailor put the little belt loops, it comes with a belt, right back on where they were initially, so it really blends in really, really nicely. And it fits me really well now. I will say something about putting panels in the sides. It does make it a little bit looser, and it makes the arm size a little bit bigger, so a lot of times if it's like something considerable that you have to put in, it might not work as well. Because I'm only like, I think probably about 3 or 4 inches off from the ideal to fit in these dresses, it makes a big difference in how big the panels are on the sides. So these panels, I think, are 1.5 inches each, which isn't that big, so it doesn't affect the way the dress sits as much. Also, putting panels in the sides, especially if you're a busty like me, does mean that the dress will sit a little higher. I have this problem with sheer dresses anyway. They'll sit like maybe 1/2 inch or so higher than my natural waist. So they will be cut a little bit higher. I don't find that that looks bad. I think if you put a lot in, it might look kind of weird. But because it's not a whole lot of fabric added, it just sits a little bit higher. And this is the second dress that I had done. So this is Baby's She Is Sleeping, and this is also from like 2006, 2007. And this was my dream dress, and I'm so excited to have it. But again, there's a sheared version. It's fully sheared, which isn't my preference just because it makes me look kind of lumpy. But because I had looked for this dress for 6 years, when I found the, or rather when my friend Darren found the unsheared version, I just went for it and decided to have it altered. So I'm not sure how well I'm going to be able to show you this because it is black. But yeah, these are the little panels that she put in. This is a side zipper, the zipper is right here. So it was a little bit extra to reset the zipper, but it's really, like, you know, not noticeable. I managed to match the blacks really well, and because this fabric is just like a fairly plain black fabric, it was pretty easy to find a match for. So yeah, those are my altered dresses. If you have any questions about having alterations done, or just, you know, what exactly alterations entails, feel free to ask me. I will say that the tailor I went to was really, really good about it. She, you know, took measurements, and everything is either, my Baby the Starshine Bright dress is just faced, it doesn't have a lining. So she faced it in the same way that it was in the first place, and the Innocent World dress has lining put in, so it all looks really neat and clean and really pretty. And it was pretty nerve-wracking at first, to be honest. And even the second one I was a little nervous about it because I had looked for that dress for so long. But I'm so glad I had them altered, and yeah, I think that's it. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. And I will see you guys later. Bye!